Hello everybody, it's Wednesday and it's time to laugh at the BBC. As if the BBC couldn't get any more stupid, they have. The diversity chief has come out to say that one of the characters that they have isn't black enough because they don't eat Caribbean food or have black friends. Oh my God, this is getting ridiculous now. This is getting ridiculous. Right, Luther, for anybody that knows, is a hit show, okay? So do you think anybody gives a flying crap? Anyway, let's this is, but you know, I had a real funny laugh when this was sent to me, actually. I just can't believe it. Listen, they've actually succeeded their quotas. They've actually overdone it. They've actually reached their goals and smashed them, basically. But apparently, according to someone else within the organisation, BBC are still miles behind their goals. But they're not. It's a lie. Again, this is stupidity coming out of the BBC. He's not black. Oh my God. I've never... Listen, right? Now, even though the woman behind it herself happens to be a black lady, when I was telling someone about this, their first reaction was, well, that sounds a little bit racist. Are BBC not supposed to be fighting racism? Because that is a very racist statement to make. I have to be honest. This is funny. Listen, I had to do a stream on this, but I want to get your guys' opinion. So what I'll do is, it's a bit like, I'll bring on a few people on a little bit of a panel here. So if you want to come on and give you your opinions on this. Have you read the article, by the way? If you haven't read the article, it's an article by the Daily Mail. I'm pretty sure the newspapers have picked it up as well. But seriously, man, you should check out this ridiculous article. I don't even want to read it out because, you know, you'll get someone on the other side that'll probably report me channel for what do they call it, plagiarism, even though everybody else reads out articles. I'm just the exception to the rule to these morons. So I'm not going to read out the article. So what I suggest is that, do you know what I'll do? Hold on. Give me a second. I'll get it up for you now and I'll put it in the live chat. Right? Read it real quick. Right? And if you want to come on after reading the article. Now, listen, if you haven't read the article, don't come on. Right? Because there'll be no point of you giving an opinion just based on what you've seen. Right? You have to read the article to know exactly what they're saying. Okay? Now, hold on. I can't get my head around this. It's baffling, to say the least. Because, you know, as someone pointed out to me as well, well, how do they know, or do they assume that all black people like Caribbean food? Is that not a racist within itself? With what's a stereotyping? Is that the word? Stereotyping? Like, because you're black, you automatically have to like Caribbean food. Is that what you're saying? Do you see the hypocrisy here, folks? I seriously, I just don't get. I think that this is baffling. It's like, you know, to assume that because you're a certain skin color, you eat certain foods and you have certain friends, in itself is a racist statement to make. Now, people will argue on the other side, well, it comes from a black lady, so it isn't racist. She's allowed to say that. It's still racism. It's It doesn't change because the person's skin color happens to be the same skin color of the person that they're talking about, or a character that they're talking about. Still racism. There's the article anyway. So read the article, right? It's in the chat there. Read the article. And then what I'll do is, right, it'll only take us about 5 or 10 minutes to read the article. So I'm going to talk for another 5 minutes, right? Then when I think everybody's ready, I'll put the link in the chat. And if you want to come on and talk about this article and talk about what's being said in it, please come on and give your opinion. Because I tell you, that's like saying, like, that would be like saying, well, all Irish people eat stew or eat potatoes or cabbage and stuff, you know, because they're Irish. That's a racist statement. Sure, not all Irish people eat potatoes or cabbage or any of this stuff. You know, these are all stereotypes. And I'm sorry, I don't care if she's a black lady. She shouldn't be saying, I'm sorry. And here's another issue I have as well. If genuinely, right, this is a concern for her, right? Then why didn't she? I don't know if Luther's still on TV, is it? Or is it finished? I think it's back on TV. I'm not 100% sure. But if it's back on TV, why not address those issues internally, right? Make the changes to the show that you believe need to be made because you obviously have that point of view, and just do it. Why make a song and dance out of all of these things all the time, right? You don't need to. Anyway, I think what you've said is blatantly racist. I think it's you're stereotyping. And BBC ought to be ashamed of themselves for letting this woman come out and say stuff like this. This is bang out of order. To actually say, you know, because of someone's skin color, you automatically think that they should be eating certain foods and should be friends with certain people. That is, what kind of, I don't know. Have I lost the plot? Or have they lost the plot? Because I think they've lost the plot. I think society is gone. Everything is just gone. This is absolute bull. You know what I mean? Oh, I don't know. Like, I mean, it's... And I know it is about the character, but still you're setting a very dangerous precedent if you're going to be saying, well, black characters should be a certain way because they're black. White characters should be a certain way because they're white. An Asian character should be a certain way because they're Asian. Right? Believe it or not, there's some Asian people out there that hate Asian cuisine. It's a fact. Just like there's some Irish people that hate Irish cuisine. Just like there are some, as she has pointed out, black people that don't like Caribbean food. But to kind of make the suggestion that all black people are from the Caribbean as well is another thing as well. You know, she does realize that there are black people that have been born in the UK. Yes, they might have Caribbean ancestry, but it's ancestry. They've been born in the UK. Cheryl's choking on her cereal. You know, it's like with Cheryl, it's like you have to watch her when she's eating stuff because she can nearly even choke herself when she's eating because of her muscles and stuff. You are, love? Yeah, you're surviving. I am the tiger. Right. So if you want to come on and make a few points about this article, please do. It'll be very interesting to hear what people have to say. Again, I just think BBC have lost the plot. I don't know what they're playing at. I mean, you know, when you think things are going to get better when they announce Tim Day, it just seems to be getting worse. I'm sorry for all those people out there that were thinking Tim Davie was going to be some sort of savior. Well, he's actually proven the opposite. And I know he's only still early days in the job, but when you see articles like this and you see people like that coming out and saying stuff like that, it doesn't bode well whatsoever. Listen, BBC is now sitting in its own shit and is swimming around in it. I actually showed Cheryl a documentary on the Jimmy Savile stuff and the cover up by the BBC, i.e. the fact that they didn't show their news night program that had actually covered Jimmy Savile's but they said they dropped it for editorial reasons. Listen, BBC are overcompensating right now because of that incident, because there was paedophiles on their premises, because they'd covered it up, the old regimes had covered it up. This BBC now feels like they've got to show everybody and show the world that they're not that organisation anymore. And the problem is they're overcompensating. They're overcompensating. They haven't got the balance right. They haven't got the balance right in the last few years. And what's happened, sadly, is you have idiots like her being brought in to do a job, and then as soon as they come in, they say, well, this character is not black enough or real enough because they don't eat Caribbean food and they don't have black friends. Right? That's what you get. You get stupidity like that. Luther has been an award-winning hit show. Okay? So, I don't know. The diversity chief, I'll tell you now. Well, the article is in the... If you go and read the article, right? I'll put the article in the chat there. Go and read the article and you know who she is. It says it in the first few paragraphs. Go and read the article. It's there. There, look at. I'll put it up on the screen. It's in the chat. Go and read the article. Right? You will know who her name is and all there if you read the article. I just refuse to read the article because it's a pile of crap. Right? But if you read the article now, I'll bring you on and you can discuss what you've read. Okay? I refuse to read it because it's a pile of crap. And on the other hand, the other twats on the other side, they'll just be waiting for me to read out an article so they can go to that journalist and say, oh, look, he's plagiarized your article. Look, he's plagiarized your article. You better get, because he hates Jodie Whittaker, so he's a bigot. You better take it down. What are you looking at me like that for? Do you not like me putting on the old voices now? She doesn't like when I do that, don't you know? No. So check out the article. And if you want to come on and give your opinions on it, you can. But I'm telling you now, right? This is why BBC, right? I had this very interesting debate about Line of Duty, right? Now, Line of Duty has proved if you have great characterization, if you have great storylines, also if you leave each episode on a cliffhanger, yeah, and as I said, you have a terrific diverse cast, but a cast that can actually act and keep you interested, then this is why Line of Duty is successful. Now, they try to make the point, these people out there, that Line of Duty is the exception to the rule. This one, it's a different type of show, so that's why their ratings are steady. Okay? But then you got the shows like EastEnders, who have lost millions of viewers. You got the shows like Top Gear, Doctor Who, and even Call the Midwife has been going through a bit of a ratings dip as well. I don't know if that show is finished, but over the last couple of years, that show has been dipping in quality because the writing has also dipped in quality. See, here's the thing, right? Doctor Who is a failure in the ratings, not because TV habits have changed or because Line of Duty is a different type of show. It's because the writing is rubbish, because the acting is rubbish, because the casting was rubbish, and because the audience can see when they watch it, they're being preached to, and they can see there's an agenda behind everything that they do with Doctor Who. Now, with Line of Duty, there is no agenda. With Line of Duty, they're just there and they tell stories. And that's what we want with Doctor Who. That's the reason why Doctor Who is failing. It's nothing got to do with TV habits changing or any of this other rubbish that you've come up with. Okay? That's why. But articles like this, comments like this, is another reason why BBC's ratings are down all over the place. Is because people are sick and tired of listening to the BBC coming out and pandering to some idiot out there. And for what? Because they made a few mistakes back in the day. And yes, those mistakes were absolutely horrendous and terrible. And BBC have, in my opinion, paid for it. They're still going to pay for it because the Jimmy Savile investigation will never be finished, because there are literally thousands beyond thousands of victims out there. But BBC must be able to move on as an organisation. But these people that they pander to are holding them hostage, right? So every time they don't do something, they come down hard on them because they know of their past. And BBC will do it because they know they have a past and they're trying to move away from that past, Shane. And this is why we're in a vicious circle right now, until BBC have the balls to actually say, hang on a minute, okay, yes, this happened, yes, it was bad, yes, we should never make those mistakes again, but BBC should be allowed to move on, right? Now, I know to the victims, they'd say no, BBC should be destroyed as an entity and all of this, right? And part of me agrees with you. What happened on those premises to us was awful. But at the end of the day, BBC's in the predicament that it's in because they allowed that to happen. And now they hire all these people, and they try to show that they're an inclusive organisation and all of this. And it's backfired because they've overcompensated on every single thing that they do. They've overcompensated. They force it as well instead of letting it happen naturally. And this is why we're in the situation that we're in with the BBC right now. This is why we're in the situation that we're in with Doctor Who right now. People, the audience, can see what's happening and have said enough is enough. They want quality entertainment. That is it. Right? That's what BBC is paid to do. That's what they get the money for the license fee for, to entertain. BBC's job, right, with shows like Doctor Who, are not to preach at the audience, okay? That's what you have environmental programs for. That's what you have all of these sex education programs for. If you want to cover topics like gender and all of this, and gender reassignment and all of this, right? That's where you do it all. You don't do it within a sci-fi show like Doctor Who, okay? You don't use that. The BBC could actually do different programs on each of these topics, but they're too lazy. They'd rather shoehorn it into shows like this and say, well, there you go. We've done our bit. There's a box ticked. Bang. Next. And that's what they've been doing with Doctor Who ever since Chris Chibnall took over. They've used it as a vehicle to push all of these different ideologies, push all of these different things, and look what's happened. The show has suffered. That's why. It's nothing got to do with Line of Duty being unique or Line of Duty being this, that, and the other, right? The fact of the matter is the writing with Doctor Who was rubbish. The casting with Doctor Who was rubbish. And I'm sorry. Jodie Whittaker was miscast as the Doctor. End of story. That is the bottom line. There were too many bad decisions made, right? And Peter Davison did say it, and I'll pull up the clip, the audio on my Twitter account. And he did say it. He said, with the modern Doctor, you have a modern Doctor that's unsure of himself, and you have a strong female companion, and if you change that dynamic, you're going to change something about the Doctor. If you reverse it, you have a female Doctor, then you're going to bring in a strong male companion, and it's going to not work, right? But we seen what Chris Chibnall did. He didn't bring in a strong male companion, right? He brought in two companions. One had a disability, and the other one lost his wife and was grieving, right? So that was his plan, because he didn't want these blokes, because Peter Davison was right. Peter Davison was right. The way the RTD and Moffat did it was the right way. Vulnerable doctor, strong female companion. Now, you can't bring in a strong male companion because it'll overshadow Jodie Whittaker's doctor. So what did he do? He brought in two hapless companions, right? And now he's done the same with John Bishop. He's brought in John Bishop. John Bishop is not going to be a strong male companion. He's going to be there, as we've already probably heard, to kind of move along Manit Gill's story arc. So, you know, he was spot on. He was spot on. And remember, those comments gotten bullied off social media, and he hasn't been back since. So I wanted to remind fans what he actually said, because everything that he has said now has come true, except for the fact that they didn't bring in a strong male companion. They brought in two weak companions with flaws, male companions, because they couldn't have strong male companions around this doctor, especially this female doctor, because I'm sorry, Jodie Whittaker was miscast. She has no screen presence. She has no charisma. And that's down to Chris Chibnall and his writing team, because they haven't used her to her strengths. But she was miscast. He was misheard. He shouldn't have been heard. He was the wrong man for the job. And if you look at the team that he's brought in to write it and all the changes that he's made all the wrong decisions. So that's why Doctor Who is in the rating situation that it's in. It's nothing got to do with shows being different types of shows or being unique in a certain way, right? It's got to do with the fact that Line of Duty is a great show, written well, with great characters, character development, plot lines, subplots, and cliffhangers, right? Everything that used to be Doctor Who, okay? Everything that used to be Doctor Who that made Doctor Who ratings hit back in the day, right? It doesn't do that anymore. That's why Doctor Who has failed, right? Right, I hope everybody's read the article, because we're about to get this show on the road. So, the link is in the chat. And we'll see how many we get. See how much of a panel we're going to have. But don't be shy. Do 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 do. Sometimes I feel like I run away. Got to run away. Let's do a few shouts. We got Queen Charlotte. We got Marty, and we got someone that's already popped in. We got Daniel. The Clone Ranger, Inamatic, Joker. Who else have we got? We got Laura Thought. We got Tim in the chat, I should say. Sorry, I still can't get his name right. Shelley is here as well. Stephen Morris, Peter D. Yeah, and Chris is here as well. Welcome, 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 everybody. Right, if I'll just give another bit of a shout there. So if you want to come on, please come on. Any new Doctor Who rumors? Well, I was told something about John Barrowman, but because it's on Reddit, I'm not willing to read it out anymore. As I said, I'm not going to look. The whole thing on Reddit was a blatant, disgusting, vile attempt to get fans' hopes up, and you know they tried to make it out to be a joke. But first time, yeah, but when you keep it up for a whole week, you're not joking. You're being vindictive. So I refuse to read the John Barrowman stuff, even if there is something in it. But it's the usual crap. about John Barrowman. So just think of what's normally being said about John Barrowman. It's the same thing. It's about him being in Doctor Who, and that's all I'm going to say. I'm not reading it. I refuse to. If other people want to cover it, let them. They'll be lying anyway. We've already established that, and the person that's been making them up has already admitted that they've been lying. So, you know, I'll wait for my sources to get back to me. But as far as the stuff on Reddit, don't care. Don't care. Yeah, it doesn't matter, Stephen. You know, at the end of the day, they're pathetic to do something like that. And the fact that, as you've pointed out, that other YouTubers, big YouTubers, are covering it, knowing that all of this is a lie. And he's admitted it's a lie. It baffles me. It baffles me. You seen how hard they came down on me saying, oh, you got fooled. Never got fooled, because I said it from day one, but this is what these fools think. But they went after me for covering them. But as you pointed out, other YouTubers have been covering this stuff as well. But because they happen to be on the same side as them, they get a pat on the back instead, you know? Right, well then, this is the way it looks. It's just going to be me and Charlotte tonight. So I'll bring Charlotte on for a half an hour, and then we'll leave it at that. If anybody joins now, it's too late. I did kind of give everybody a few minutes to try come on. I have left the link in there. We did put the article up there, but Charlotte is here. So we'll bring Charlotte on for a half an hour or so, maybe 45 minutes. I know she goes before 10. So we'll get her on. And myself and Charlotte will discuss this tonight. So I might as well say Charlotte is a bit of a co-host tonight. So let's bring her on. It's the one and only Queen Charlotte.
Hello.
Right, well, it's me and you tonight. We actually, I don't think it's been me and you, so this will be interesting. You've obviously read the article, I suppose.
Yeah, Daniel sent it to me before the streamers and like, look at what they're doing now. And I read through it then.
Right. So you were making some interesting points in the chat. So would you like to discuss a few of them, or is there somewhere where you'd like to particularly start?
As it's just blatant. It's baffling, like you said, because they're basically trying to claim now that you can only be quote unquote black as a character if you follow stereotypes.
Yeah.
That is basically what these claims are hinting towards, or directly really arguing. And it's just, we've now gone from it's not even having visual representation now, which is what certain groups were banging on about a couple of years ago. And I can remember Luther was praised because you had a lead actor that was not white. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
It was praised for that, and it just was given a lot of props for that. And now, because it doesn't follow what they perceive as the right type of diversity, it's like, oh, we can't be proud anymore. We can't say it's good enough anymore.
See, like you, right? I can hear you right there struggling, right, to get words out. I'm struggling. I'm struggling too, because I mean, they're blatant. You were right? It's basically stereotyping people. I mean, I thought BBC, see, this is what I don't understand. I thought BBC was against all of this stereo.
Well, no, but
people in boxes, but they seem to want to do it. That article, that diversity chief. And by the way, there's not only her. There's also June. June. I can't say her second name properly, so forgive me if I say this wrong. Hold on, I'll get her up because I don't want to get her name wrong because I'll be criticised. But she worked with Jesse Ventura. She did that conspiracy theory show. Now BBC have hired her as well, and she is, I think, the boss of this woman. Hold on, her name is June. June's begins with P. S. Spring is Spring. There's her name.
Yeah, but I have a bit of a thought why they think it's okay to say some of these things, to be honest, and it's not sensical.
Yeah.
But the way some of these people carry on, I think the reason why they've now taken issue, or this woman appears to have taken issue with Luther, is because that character, from what I've been told, and from what I know of Idris actually,
right,
and even what the writer said about the character of Luther, is this is a character that their race doesn't define them. That they are a character first. They were written as a character that was interesting, that was multi-layered, and race never really was a major part, as in it was the only important thing about the character. And if you look at how certain parts now of society wants to treat characters, they literally just want to almost fetishize whether they're female, whether they're non-white, whether their sexuality, whatever that is. It's like, because Luther didn't do that, and I know Idris has said in the past he doesn't want to be known as the black whatever, because I know people years ago, they were saying they wanted him for Bond, and I do think he would be a really good James Bond. But I'm sure, unless I'm misquoted and people can correct me, but I'm sure in interviews he came out and said, I don't want to be known as the black token Bond. So he doesn't want this, and I think that's why I've got a feeling maybe this is why the character's now seen as not authentic enough according to their own rules.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he did come out. I think he also came out and said that he felt he was too old to play Bond, which is another thing he said. I mean, there's your woman in question there, that was heard by the BBC as the diversity chief. So this is your woman. That's being heard by the BBC to fix their issues on diversity, if that's what you want to call it. So hold on, here she is now. Right, and then I'll show you who I think her boss is. I shall share screen. So this is what's shocking about it, because she's a black woman herself, and she's basically stereotyping
her own race.
Her own race. Right? So that's her. That's who said it, right? Okay. Now, I'll show you who I think her boss is, right? And this was another woman that was hired. As I said, she worked for Jesse Ventura on conspiracy theory it was. Now, she was on Loose Women, but then she was appointed as the BBC's first director of creative diversity. Now, she has come out to say that they haven't reached their targets, but they actually have reached their targets. What they've now done is BBC have put out a second diversity and inclusion strategy, and now they're going off that one. It was updated, and now they're pushing for even more diversity. And this is the woman in question. And again, you know, I've no problem with these women being heard, by the way. I want to make that absolutely clear. But when you have and she's come with this woman also has come out with some pretty bold statements, especially as I said, when they hit their targets. She tried to say that they're still behind, but what she didn't tell the audience is they automatically enacted the second inclusion diversity strategy that they had in place.
Wasn't she saying, and to give her credit, I do think she actually had a point. She said there wasn't enough diversity in like the management ranks, like the higher ups. And I do think that's a point, to be fair.
No,
to give it
she
to
does
her.
have a point. She does have a point there, right? And maybe they are behind on their targets there. But when it comes to their TV shows, they've
hit them.
They've actually hit all their targets. That's where I'm coming from. They've actually hit all their targets. Yeah, you're right. Upper management does need a change. I think we've all been saying that anyway. Anybody that has a problem with the BBC has actually said that the big main problem that we have is the management, is the higher up. So yeah, I would welcome a change in the higher ups. But they've hit all their other targets, and I just don't like, here's
the thing: if they're now attacking their own black characters, if that's the term, because she's used that term, then how are they ever going to hit any targets when they're now looking at things they have created and go, no, that's not quite good enough?
Do you know, show? It's an award. See, this is the thing. Luther's an award-winning show. How is it? I mean, it's got a strong man, black man as the lead character, strong man, take no nonsense, right? Great character, right? And now, because they feel it's not a proper representation of what a black man should be, this is the whole point.
Yeah, that's the whole point now. Yeah, that's what's worrying.
Yeah, they want to now say, no, we're not having that. We want to change that now. And this is, you're right. At first it was about getting more characters on screen and stuff. But now it's like, well, now that they're on screen, but it's not the way they should be. I'm sorry, but black people love Caribbean food, and they have loads of black friends and no white friends. So, this is where you're going down. And again, I've said this time and time again, and I'll say it again. There's a deliberate attempt out there to separate us all, to put us all
in this is blatant.
Boxes. And I've said this for years. This is what they want, right? This is not all about diversity and inclusion. It's not. Even in society, look at what's happening. Media, everywhere. They're trying to separate us all. They're trying to turn us all against each other. Right, and now they're even going. This is shocking. I mean, what Charlotte has said. I mean, the fact that they're going after characters, black characters that are representing their race, and now they're saying, well, they're not good enough, and this is what they should be. So if you do, and I just want to make this point, right? So if you're going to be that stereotypical, the next time you have an African-American character on screen, are you going to give them a bucket of fried chicken?
That is basically what it's the equivalent of, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's I feel like having that attitude is an attitude from the 90s.
Do you know what I mean?
It feels like
character, well, they can only eat Asian food because they're Asian. What the hell is BBC at? I'm sorry, but that's wrong.
But if we want to, something that me and Daniel did our stream last night, and we sort of didn't touch on this exactly, but I brought up the Joe stuff with Joe Martin's doctor. And I said, I think some people are waking up a bit to that now, that their first non-white doctor, and she's not a mainline doctor. She's some splinter, she's some pre-Hartnell or whatever she ends up being.
Yeah,
but she's not part of the main.
She's not a proper doctor, and she never will be a proper doctor. And that's the sad thing. They've used Joe Martin, just like they've used some of the gay characters that they've brought in. They've actually brought people in that are gay to play gay roles, and they've literally had them in the scene for about 20 seconds and killed them off. You know, they don't do anything. This is BBC all over. They're just...
Yeah, but like I said, if you think about that, like we've just had the Joe thing, and they were so happy to praise in all the press and all the acclaim. Yeah. But when you actually looked at it, you've gone, no, she was blatantly used as a media sort of shock thing to get views.
Yeah.
Lenny
Henry is right. Lenny Henry is right. He said at the time, right, and we criticised him for it because it was the way he put it out there. But he's actually right. It's come to fruition. He said that they'd rather cast a dog as the doctor than cast a black man, right? Now, okay, they cast a black woman to play a version of the doctor that isn't as Charlotte has rightly pointed out. She's not a main doctor. You know, they couldn't even put her in somewhere like in the numbering system as I've suggested. They had to make her a kind of a different doctor. So they haven't even gotten their own doctor. And, you know, Lenny Henry is right, though. You know, Richard Ayoade, for me, right, is where they should be going next for the next doctor, right? Or Julian Lester, right? If they want to go down that route, right? That's the way. But now all we're hearing is the next doctor could be a woman again. Like, I mean, again, you have an opportunity here, you know. And I mean,
they really do.
Some great black actors out there, right? You have a great opportunity to but not only give the old fans back a male doctor, right? But you could also hit that diversity tick boxing thing that you like doing by casting Richard Ayoade or Julian Lester. Now, for me,
Adrian Lester, isn't it?
The fact that both of them have great CVs, but because you are all about, you know, box ticking instead of their CVs, well then, you know that those two for me would be the choice if you want to go down that route. But if you go with another female doctor, you're gonna kill it. But again, this is BBC showing their true nature, right? The organization needs to be stripped down from top to bottom. It's infested by old-fashioned idea. It is. It's an old institution, and it does need a shake-up. But the way they're going about it, the way these people are going about it, is the wrong way to go about it. You'll end up destroying the organization, and I don't think any of you want to be out of a job. But if you keep going down this route, man, I mean, that is blatantly disgusting.
Well, let's play the game. Let's say those comments were said by an older white male executive.
Right. They'd be outraged.
What do you think the reaction would be?
He'd be outraged. They'd be outraged. If he was on social media, he'd face a backlash. If he wasn't on social media, then you'd have all the fans going on to the social media sites on BBC, sending emails to demand that this guy is sacked. That's what would happen. That is the reality. And what would they do? They would sack that person. They would sack them because they don't want the drama. But yet, because this woman happens to be black, she can come out and say something very stereotypical like that. I think that is absolutely shocking. And I'm sorry if you think I'm making a big deal out of it. It is. For someone like that to come out and say that, well, this character is not black enough because he doesn't have black friends and he doesn't eat Caribbean food, is the most stereotypical racist thing I have ever heard in my life. And it is racist to say, by the way. It's not just stereotypical. Let's call it as it is. It's racism. And don't give me this crap, you on the other side, all yous on the other side, when you say, well, black people can't be racist to black people. Never hear that, and so stupid. Racism is racism. And whether it comes from a white person, black person, Asian person, whatever your skin color is, it's racism. If you're deliberately saying something about someone's skin color or their culture.
No, but that's the more insidious thing. It basically is, he doesn't show enough of the obvious signs of the culture, so he doesn't count.
It was like when I made my comments about China, right? And in the same stream, I realized what I had said, right? It didn't come out the way I wanted it to come out, and I clarified what I actually meant, right? You have to be very careful when you word things out there, because you've seen what's happened to me when I misworded something. Now, I did clarify in the same stream, but these idiots don't show that. But I did clarify. I think this woman does need to come out and clarify what she meant, because this is highly disrespectful to everybody that worked on that show, including the lead actor himself. Like this
I tell you what, I think it just has like quite a bit of social media presence. I so want him to do a video in response to this.
I wonder how he would respond. And I tell you, I'd love the response to be like not exactly the reaction that we have, but I'd like him to come out and show some form of disgust, because I think this is disgusting. It is. And I don't care whether it comes from a black person. You're right, though. This came from a white male. It'd be a different story altogether.
It would be a completely different story, and you would have immediate calls, like you said, for an apology, for sacking, for BBC to apologise as a group. It would be the 9 yards that would be required.
What happened with John Bishop, though? When John Bishop was first cast, everybody was moaning because it was another old white male, right? But then after that calmed down, someone went and found something that he had said in jokes about lesbians and stuff like that. You know, because he's a comedian and he tells the jokes that normal people wouldn't tell, because that's what they get paid for. That's what comedians have always done. They've always like poked in places where we wouldn't go. That's why comedians are so funny. But they found something that he said, and they went after him, and they were demanding that he be sacked. But then, right here was the funny thing. It transpired then that his son happens to be gay. And he's a very big, they were calling for his head, right? Because they were saying that he was homophobic, right? And all of this. And then it transpires that he did this charity thing, and he's a patron of some LGBTQ plus thing, and he won an award. And they were sick. They were sick because, yeah, the man might have told jokes. And okay, fair enough. Now in today's society, you twats are offended by everything. And, you know, I'm glad he hasn't come out and apologized, by the way. It's comedy at the end, Dave. These are offended by comedy and they don't watch comedy. It's as simple as that. Right, comedy does things that will tell jokes that we wouldn't necessarily tell. That's the whole point. But they went after him. So I just can't understand. This woman will receive no backlash whatsoever. Why? Why? Because she's a black lady, and because she's talking about black people. And if she says something that's out of line, she'll get away with it. She'll get away with it. But if that was me, imagine if I said that. Imagine if I actually said that. I've watched Luther, and I just have to say, this isn't a true representation of black people. Why isn't he eating Caribbean food? And where's his black friends? Could you imagine what would be said if I said that?
It's blatant hypocrisy, and the problem is, we have a lot of I can't say the word. We have a lot of people right now in media in general and in fandom that love to say, look at me, I'm all for these causes. I'm all for supporting this and defending this group. But they use it as a blatant shield.
I have to send you a message in the private chat. Just Charlotte, because I have to do something. Because
no problem. Well,
right,
no,
I'll do. But you just finish your point there. But all I'll just say is this, right? You know for a fact, right, that if I said it, even if I said that, right, if I had come out and made a statement like that, you know what would happen, right? This is where the hypocrisy is. Now, if they were outraged by me saying it or another white person saying it, well, then why aren't they outraged when she says it? And this is where the hypocrisy comes in, folks. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to sit here and stand for that. I told everybody that I'd call this shit out, as I say, and I'm calling it out. This is blatant hypocrisy. It's blatant stereotyping certain people, which is wrong. And I think this woman should be held to account. I'm sorry, that is a blatant, stereotypical, racist opinion. And I'm sorry, I am sick of that organization coming after Doctor Who fans and all fans out there that have concerns and worries about the direction that this organization's gone and what are they all labeled? Racist, bigots, homophobes, sexists, and misogynistic, and all of this other rubbish that you get labeled. And I've had enough of this. This organization, there are people out there in the UK that pay the TV license, right? Someone actually said to me that I don't have a right to give out about Doctor Who, right? I'm going to explain it very quickly before I do a refresh. I have every right to complain about Doctor Who and the standard of its writing now. And I'll tell you why, right? It's not because I've been following the show for a number of decades now, right? Even though that would be considered something, we leave that out because I know to you guys that doesn't mean anything, right? But I've literally spent thousands of euro on Doctor Who merchandise over the years, right? I've bought their stuff. I've bought their DVDs, bought their box sets. I've bought pictures. I've bought posters. I've bought little figurines. I've bought you name it, right? Now, there are people out there that have even went one step further and spent hundreds of thousands, right? Okay, right? So not only the money aspect, right? But they were emotionally invested. Yes, again, I will bring it to you. It doesn't matter if you're a long-term fan or not. That doesn't even come into user way of thinking. But there is an emotional attachment there as well. So if they see a show that's not up to the standard that they believe that it should be at, right? And they believe that the showrunner is deliberately or is unwittingly destroying canon, right? If you think fans are going to sit back and say nothing, you've got another thing coming to you. Especially those fans that, as I've said, all of those things, mostly invested, have also invested their cash and their livelihood into this show, right? Their childhood and their adulthood, by the way. Some of us are obviously adults, and we have continued to watch Doctor Who over the years. You cannot dismiss that. So I'm sorry. I have every right, just like every other fan out there that's a fan that, as I said, that has spent money on this, has emotionally invested in this show, and even New Who. Charlotte is a New Who fan. She grew up with the show. She got emotionally invested in it. She's watching Classic Who with us every week now, and she's loving it. But she's emotionally invested, you know, and she has every right to stand up and
especially
say,
as they made such a big deal of the current era being for my gender.
yeah.
So
And
if I'm being perfectly honest,
and as a woman, I'd like to ask you, how do you feel about having the Doctor being, and while you answer this, I'll refresh. What? Okay, I'll ask you this question actually. Is there anything about Jodie Whittaker's Doctor that makes you think, yeah, this was a good idea? And then I'll follow up by asking you, if the answer is no, and you don't think, why are the reasons that you would rather have the Doctor stay male than change to a woman? Now, I know you've kind of talked about this before, but just to kind of give a longer kind of detailed analysis of why you believe that a male Doctor, because I know you do believe that.
yes, I do.
So explain to everybody here, because there's 32 people watching. So there are a few Jodie stands, as we call them, watching right now. You're a woman. So you explain to these little fans here why you believe that a female Doctor doesn't work. And not because it's Jodie Whittaker, but because it's a female doctor, and we have to make that point. People think it's because Jodie Whittaker's cat. It's not. It's not. And by the way, Jodie Whittaker was miscast, I think, and I don't think Chris Chibnall played to our strengths, and that was his big issue. I don't blame her on everything, by the way. Chris Chibnall is the biggest fuck up in the show, and he gave her very poor advice. My opinions on Whittaker changed, by the way, some of you J-bots, since last year after I watched her show. She did a Who Do You Think You Are? And I actually sat there watching it, hoping that I'd hate this thing, right? I'll admit it. I sat there watching it, hoping I would hate her after this even more. No, it changed me opinions on her 180. I did a whole 180. That woman, it's not all her fault Doctor Who went downhill, but I will say one thing. The biggest culprit is our bloody friend, Chris Chibnall, and he ought to be ashamed of himself that he didn't use her with the strengths that she does have. She's a highly emotional person, and he should have used that, but he didn't. Right, Charles, I'm going to shut up now and refresh. You go ahead and let everybody know why, what your thoughts are on this current version of Doctor Who. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I can remember the murmurings, and I'll say it's campaigning because that's what it came across to me when Peter was announced he was leaving, because you had the normal cycle of who's next, like we're going through now, names are being chucked around. But I kept seeing certain parts of the fandom say they wanted a female doctor. And when you actually looked at their arguments, they never spoke about stories. They never said, I want this for the character. Actually, no, maybe there was, but the majority I saw, they were not talking about those things. They weren't saying things like, oh, the change from male to female might make a really interesting arc for the Doctor, or it might make the Doctor have to reevaluate things or have a very sort of crisis of confidence type of arc, which we had previously. And it had been established that when he went from young to old, we had that Am I a Good Man arc. So we know that when the Doctor has these rapid changes or these big changes in regenerations, there is consequences in the character's behaviour. So I was like, that's the only reason I would entertain the female Doctor. But certain fans, certain bits of the fandom, when they were wanting a female Doctor, they just wanted it so they could say, we've got a female Doctor. That we finally changed it from being a male to a female. And if you're doing anything out of politics, anything out of we want to represent instead of give you a good character, then you were starting off with the wrong intentions completely, and it will not work.
Exactly.
And we have seen that with Jodie's Doctor, because Chris Chibnall, I said this a couple of weeks ago, seems to, her development, her sort of importance in her own era seems to be the bottom of his list. And really, being the first female Doctor, she was marketed so much. That should mean her era should have been more centric around her Doctor than any previous Doctor because of the change. And I also think the Doctor was an incredibly unique male main character in any sort of show, whether it's sci-fi. I think if you've got a main male character that doesn't like violence, that is basically a pacifist, who will always argue, I'm going to use my brains, I'm going to try and talk my way out of a situation, and using any type of violence is completely near the end of my priority list. That is very unique for a male character. Because if you look at...
Go ahead, Noble. Go on.
No, if you look at male, especially in sci-fi action sort of characters that were male, that's what they used. They would use force. So you had the Doctor who was against that. And I think that was incredibly unique, and also at times having a very emotional character who was male. That he might have had the facade of not caring at times and not wanting to get close. But I think the Doctor is incredibly emotional. And that's because he's lived for so long and he likes to connect with people. So that also is very unique in some genres for a male character. So it had so many unique aspects that traditionally, and I'll say the word traditionally, if you turn to female, those would not be as unique.
Yeah. Jodie is a very good actress. She held her own next to Peter O'Toole, no less. But she has not had hope of proving her ability whilst saddled with Chibnall. See, this is the thing, right? I've always said in the stuff that she's good in. To me, personally, I'm not a fan of her anyway. I don't think she's, even if people do think she's a great actress or whatever, I'm not a fan. Never have been. She was in Broadchurch. She was irritating. She was in other stuff as well that I seen. She was in Attack the Block as well. She was irritating in that as well. I just find her irritating anyway, personally. But the other shows that she was in, she was better. What's startling is that you think Chris Chibnall, who's worked with her before and who's her friend, would know what her strengths and weaknesses are.
Well, no, the problem was with Chibnall, and just sort of got it back to the Luther example. In that show, the creator knew that Idris was an incredibly talented actor, and that he didn't have to use his race to try and get people to like the character or to get attention. He just knew that Idris is a knockout, he's world class. So he didn't have to hide behind the fact that Idris is a non-white lead. But Chibnall, on the other hand, blatantly hid behind the fact that he picked a female doctor. Because he knew that with that first series, whatever quality he wrote, he would be protected to some degree. And that's the cowardice of Chibnall. That will always be, for me, one of the worst traits of Chibnall, is that he's a coward. That instead of going, I've done this change, which is going to get some fans on board naturally, it's going to get some attention, so I'm going to just write still the best that I can and do some knockout stories. He gave us the most boring tripe series. That was just series 11. I've joked that series 11 is white noise. So that's the cowardice of him, that he's one of these types who will use such a trait like an actress, is like the fact that he did a female doctor. And like I said, he did the exact same thing with Joe Martin. So this is a trait of Chibnall, and this is why we really think he needs to be called out more, because he's blatantly using these minority groups to try and say, oh, you can't attack my stories.
Chibnall glossed over the Doctor had changed gender. There was a lot to be explored, but it was just rushed through. Listen, going back, Andrew Cartmel is kind of saying similar to what Charlotte is saying there. Also, he said it was like when Chris Chibnall got in, he threw everything out of the kitchen sink, the whole lot. Listen, Chris Chibnall's problem is this, right? Charlotte has pointed out as well, but Chris Chibnall's biggest problem is Jodie Whittaker, right? He's supposed to be friends with this woman, though, right? So this is what's baffling, right? He knows what her strengths and weaknesses are as an actress, right? Now, I think his doctor, Jodie's doctor, reflects him. He is a coward. He is. The way he writes her doctor like a coward. a blundering idiot. Even look at the way he treated Jodie Whittaker's doctor when Joe Martin's doctor was revealed.
Yeah, made it look like an idiot.
Right? Joe Martin's doctor was literally ripping the piss out of Jodie Whittaker's doctor. Now, this is his doctor, by the way. This is his doctor. Right? He brings in this other doctor, right? Joe Martin, who we all love, by the way. Well, I love her. You all know how I feel on her doctor. Yes, it was a bit shocking to find out that she was a different doctor. But I did say this in the 2 series that we had of Whittaker, or the series and a half so far. Joe Martin did better in the few minutes that she was on screen as the doctor. See, this is the thing you don't understand, right? He was able to get the balance right with Joe Martin's doctor. Even the TARDIS console inside, much better, right?
Oh, that's such a gorgeous TARDIS.
It is. It's like from the start, Chris Chibnall's Whittaker's doctor has just look at the console, right? Everybody's complaining about the costume, right? But everything with Joe Martin's doctor was perfect. The costume was perfect. The TARDIS was perfect. You know, it was even her dialogue was perfect. She was ripping the piss out of Whittaker's doctor. Like she literally, Jodie Whittaker's doctor goes around like a blundering idiot. Comes in the last minute, lets everybody else solve things. Right? Comes in the last minute with sonic screwdriver, bang. Right? But even look with Joe Martin got to do stuff. She got to kick the Jadoon's ass. Right? She did something with the gun.
And also, if you think about it, when Jodie got the reveal of the Timeless Child, who was there to try and like convince her to carry on? It was Joe's doctor. It wasn't Jodie saying I'm going to carry on and I'm going to be strong and this revelation doesn't change me. It was Joe's doctor that said you're still you.
Yeah, I remember now. See, because I've only watched, as you know yourself, I think this is the first time that I've watched Doctor Who over the years that I've never actually went back. Now, I will say this. I have tried to watch The Woman Who Fell to Earth a few times over the last couple of years since it's dropped. And I can never get past the first 15 minutes. And I still can't. It's so boring. I just... Seriously, and when she fought... Do you know, that scene... Look, I remember when that scene was leaked, when she fell from when she fell out of the TARDIS and she fell through the train. Do you remember when that clip was leaked? And
people thought it was fake.
And everybody was saying, no, that's not her. That's not the way she's playing it. That has to be a scene that they haven't used or something or something like that. And then we watched it and it was that exact scene. Everybody was worried then. Even the people on the other side were looking at this trailer at the time, at this leaked video at the time. And they were like, no, that can't be the way it is. Look, it's not finished. It's not edited properly. It doesn't happen. No, it was that bad. Listen, Jodie Whittaker's doctor, the failure on Jodie Whittaker's doctor is firmly down to Chris Chibnall, right? And what makes this even worse for me is the fact that he was able to do Joe Martin's doctor justice and get the balance right with her. But with the doctor that he's chosen, with the actress that he chose, his best friend, the one he chose to play the very first female doctor, he in the 3 years or the 2 series that we've had, he still hasn't been able to get her doctor or the balance of her doctor right? He's still not using her strengths. It seems like he's deliberately, to me now at this stage, deliberately using her weak points and running with that. I think what happened after he got Jodie in and he seen the first series, he probably realised that he probably did make a mistake. And I don't think he's been, and instead of kind of, getting rid of her. He's been slowly throwing her under a bus.
Oh yeah, I do. You just get this vibe that it's like he doesn't. It's a bit odd because if you think about all the other actors that have got this role, when you hear showrunners talk about them, you can see from very early on that they've either got an arc planned or they've seen like a core thing in that Doctor that they really want to like explore. So with Matt, it was young face, old soul. And you could tell Moffat really loved that about Matt, and that's what got him the role, basically, over, because I remember Matt wasn't the first choice.
No, he wasn't.
So that you can see that was what Moffat wanted to do with Matt. And then with Peter, you knew he deliberately picked an older Doctor, so he wanted to be a bit sterner with Doctor. He sort of wanted a more guarded Doctor, and that's what he saw. And he probably knew how much of a fan Peter was. So he probably, in the back of his head, was thinking, he'll probably fill in a lot of the gaps himself. I probably don't have to do a lot of the work with Peter because he's such a fan. And then if you think about then Russell's two Doctors, with Eccleston, I think with that Doctor, he knew because it was coming back, because he had to basically get my generation on board, he had to almost do like an everyman Doctor, a very down-to-earth sort of not eccentric Doctor. And Chris is very good at those type of characters.
Yeah.
And he sort of has a bit of that haggard sort of look about him. So that also suits the Time War sort of PTSD angle.
Yeah.
And then if you think about Tennant then, very handsome, so he knew he could play into that, the sort of charming charisma that Tennant naturally has. And he's a very good-looking chap. And he was young and rosy. He had the romance angle he was playing with. But then...
Sorry, Charlotte. See, Chibnall could have done something similar to what Moffat tried to do, though. Because this was such an epic, epic reveal, and I mean epic in the scale that the reaction that it got, the fact that this was the first female Doctor. But do you remember what Moffat did, right, when Matt Smith left? He knew as soon as Peter Capaldi was cast that there would be an issue, right? Yeah. Straight away. So what did he do? He included that scene where Matt Smith's Doctor rings Clara in obviously Peter Capaldi's first bloody episode, and she has that phone conversation beside Peter Capaldi's Doctor while she's talking to Matt Smith's Doctor. Now he could have, I'm not saying do the exact same thing, but he could have done something, right? See, this is what I've always had a problem with. It was like, when he said Jodie was going to be the Doctor, it was like, right, I know some people out there like the fact that he didn't make a big deal about the gender change, right? That they like the fact that she just said that line, well, 20 minutes ago I was a grey-haired Scotsman, right? Okay? Some people like the fact that he didn't explore it more. But for me, personally, right, and I think with a lot of other fans out there, though, if this had been explained in some way, right, we still might have been happy with it. But if this might have been explained in a way that made sense to us, right? Now, you'd still have people out there saying, no, the Doctor is, no, that's the way the Doctor should be, blah, 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 right? But if it was explained in some way, I think there would have been...
I wouldn't say, I don't think we needed it explained to us, because technically Moffat had set the groundwork.
Neil Gaiman did, yeah.
With Neil Gaiman and Missy, because let's be honest, Missy was a test run.
But Missy worked, right? Yeah, even though I still, I'm kind of the same with the Master, with the Doctor. But I will never dismiss the fact that Michelle Gomez was brilliant in the role as Missy. And I have to be honest, over the years, I have grown to really, really love that character. And now I can comfortably say, yes, she is a version of the Master.
Oh yeah, I love that
I
character.
could never say that. I used to call her deranged Mary Poppins. I couldn't call her the Master, but she is the Master, and she did it well, right? She did it brilliant. Look at the actress that we got, though. We got an actress that has worked on British TV for a long time. I'm not saying Whittaker hasn't, but has a good CV. We know her acting talent. She always plays these quirky kind of roles. So she was spot on. See, this is the thing. If you're going to do a female doctor, well, then you had to do the same thing that you did for Missy, right? Michelle Gomez. You had to get an actress spot on for the role, and you didn't. You miscasted Chibnall. This is the point. You miscast. Nobody now is... Look, I will still always maintain, like Peter Davison, that if you do change the gender, you're going to lose something. But look, BBC is not going to change for me or anybody else out there. So I either accept it or I walk away, right? And I love Doctor Who too much to walk away. I'm not necessarily saying I accept a female doctor, but what I would like from a female doctor is someone to be cast that bloody deserves to be cast, and second of all, can actually, act. I'm sorry, I don't think she can act. That's just me personally.
Yeah, but that's what I was sort of getting at, though, because I don't think we didn't need it explained to us. I think, like I sort of was talking about before, it should have shown in her characterization in some fashion. It should have had some sort of impact, whether that was just a little bit or whether they wanted to do it more overtly. Yeah. It should have impacted her character. And it's like they want, and it's I think I've said this before. It's like Chibnall went halfway. Like he wanted the press, he wanted the attention of the virtue signal, but then he didn't actually want to deal with any of the character or development that should naturally come with gender change.
Exactly. Spot on. Absolutely spot on. I mean, that's his flaw, and this is why this era. And listen, again, I'll say to those people out there, you can say whatever you want about ratings and say that certain shows are different because they're different shows, and they're written differently and this, that, and the other. But it boils down to this one simple fact, right? EastEnders is struggling, Top Gear is struggling, Doctor Who's struggling, and there are other BBC shows out there struggling. Now, there are a few exceptions to the rule, as you have said, but why are the exception to the rule? They're not the exception to the rule because of what you think. It's all down to the simple fact is that these people that are behind these shows understand the characters that they're trying to develop. They're coming up with great plot lines, subplots. Charlotte watches Line of Duty.
I was shouting out of being into it on Sunday.
There you go. So I mean, and at the end, look, I watch Gogglebox and there's a woman on it. I don't know if you see the Jenny and Lee, if anybody.
Oh, her little notebook. I love her.
And she has our little notebook, right? And he's always ripping the piss out of her. But look, I have to be honest, I only watch Gogglebox and the little clips on it. Now, me and Cheryl keep threatening to watch it, but we never do. But we will actually start with season 1 and work our way up. And
you have to with Line of Duty, mate.
But the reason why that show is so successful is because, as I said, it's got all of those elements in it. And what does it do? It leaves on a cliffhanger every week that leaves the audience baffled, wanting more. And that's what Doctor Who is missing, especially under the Chris Chibnall era. He doesn't like doing too many cliffhangers, but when he does do a cliffhanger, it's not the greatest cliffhanger in the world. He just can't do it. He's just, look at Andrew Cartmel said it. Now, he did an interview on Talk to Doctor, and Chris Chibnall was brought up. And the one thing that he did say is that when he found out Chris Chibnall was given the job of Doctor Who, he was basically puzzled by the decision. He says Chris Chibnall's a great writer, detective writer, stuff like that. But when it comes to sci-fi, he just doesn't get it. So that said a lot. That said a lot. Now him and Chibnall don't see eye to eye because apparently Cartmel wanted to work on Torchwood or was asked to write stories, and there was interviews set up, and Chibnall was supposed to be there and kept putting it off. If you haven't watched that Andrew Cartmel interview, you should. It's on Talk the Doctor. It's a very interesting interview. It's a bit of an eye-opener. The character of Chris Chibnall as well, by the way. He talks about other stuff as well. It's not just about that. They try keep away from the whole era of Doctor Who, but it does get brought up in brief moments, but they don't. Obviously, Andrew Cartmel has to be careful of what he says to a certain point, but you can clearly see that he doesn't like this man. Yeah, man, this man is screwed him over. But that's the character of Chris Chibnall. Now, I know, Charlie, you're going to be leaving shortly, so what we'll do is we will leave it there, actually, because an hour and 20 minutes is great. But listen, it's been great having you on, actually, just the two of us. Now, we did have Jack come into the studio, but as I did say, obviously, when Charlotte came on, because there was nobody else, but he came in late. But he will be on Friday because he wants to add his opinion to what we were talking about earlier on, including the Whittaker stuff. So we'll have Jack on Friday. So we look forward to seeing Jack here on the TARDIS Zone Talks. And of course, for you guys that didn't get an opportunity to talk about this tonight, if you want to obviously bring that up, you are more than welcome. And if there's any other news, Doctor Who news, obviously we'll bring it up as well. And if there are any rumors out there, obviously, as I said, I won't be covering any on Reddit anymore. But if they come from any other forum, we'll see how it goes. But I'm gonna really hold out until the source comes back.
Yeah, mate, just hold out for your own.
Because at this stage, it's all a big job. But listen, Charlotte, we can't leave you and let you leave without obviously plugging your Daniel's channel. Of course, you're his co-host. So if you'd like to let people know what you have up and coming, I know he likes to take a bit of a break as well, but if he's not on a break, do you want to tell everybody what he has up and coming on the stream?
Yeah, so last night we managed to get a word in edgeways because we had Problem as a guest, which is quite impressive.
Yeah.
So we had another excellent conversation stream where whole range of things. That's what we like about those streams. There's some stuff that we say, let's not do too much politics, but pretty much anything else we like to talk about. So we're probably going to be doing a few of them coming up. And then I know Daniel is going to be doing some Christopher Eccleston audio reviews when he can, so that's something to look forward to. And we will be getting to the Beware stuff, as well, because we just wanted a bit of a break from reviewing for a while. So when we should be getting back to Beware soon.
That's it. Right. Oh, I just seen a comment from someone in the chat. I can't take life anymore. I've had a chat with this person briefly on Twitter. All I'll just say to you is this is just, as I advised you to do, go and talk to someone, pal. You clearly need to talk to someone, mate. I've been looking at your activity as well recently on Twitter, because obviously we follow each other. I seriously think you should go, and I know it's a hard step, but I definitely think you should go and talk to someone, mate. Try get some control back in your life. Nobody needs to feel the way you're feeling. There are plenty of people out there willing to listen and help you. So please, as I've said before, we have spoke about mental health on this channel. Please go and talk to someone. Because I know it's a big step, but once you take that step, trust me, it's a relief. and you'll find it easier to talk to someone. So please do, because we don't we care about everybody on that follows us here and subscribes to us, and we don't want to see anybody in a situation like that. So as I said, please go and talk to someone, and hopefully you'll be able to see some light at the end of the tunnel, because trust me, there is. Trust me, we've all been where you've been, especially myself. So I understand exactly where you're coming from. So listen to me words when I tell you, go and talk to someone. There are people willing to listen to you. Take that step, and then hopefully then you can get some sort of control back in your life. I didn't want to end like that, but because I wasn't going to leave without saying
Oh
anything.
no, if you see he's unknown, we love you, pal. So, but Noel's had more experience, so listen to Noel.
Yeah, I've been through the ringer, trust me. And even now, with all of this other rubbish, it doesn't help with my mental health, but I'm able to handle it a lot better than, say, a year ago, even. You know, I'm lucky because, obviously, my wife obviously suffers as well. So we've got each other. We can talk to each other and help each other. That does help. Sit down and just air our grievances with each other. And that can help. Of course, if you do live on your own or you don't have family that's willing to listen, as I said, there are people out there that are willing to listen and help. So I agree with Charlotte. We do cherish everybody here that supports us. So take care of yourself, man. And listen, please do go and talk to someone, okay? And as I said, we will be discussing and highlighting this in the stream soon. As I said, Lee is actually working on a special little trailer for us, because I do think this is a big issue. It needs to be highlighted, and that there's a lot of people out there suffering. And I just want them to know that they're not alone. And hopefully, the stream brings them some comfort when they hear other people's stories and hear that they're not alone. And that's the whole point of it. And there are some people out there that think this is all a big joke and that I'm just, taking the piss. I'm not. I'm actually deadly serious about it. Mental health, and especially on social media with the stuff that goes on, it doesn't help. So I am serious about all of this. So we will be addressing it. So I will say, listen, I'll leave it at that. I'll be on during the week, as you know. Wednesdays, Sundays now I'm on. You know the shows that are on anyway. But just to let you know, tomorrow on the Irish Geek, myself and Real Super Doctor will be doing. We'll do about an hour, and we'll be talking Titanic, and then hopefully, then when that's over, I'm hoping to do another stream on one of the channels. I don't know which one yet. I haven't decided, but I do plan on doing 2 streams tomorrow. So come and join me for that. And I'm going to leave it there, folks. But listen, as I said, I want you all to look after yourselves and take care. We're near we're for the UK. I see that the restrictions are lifting, and you are able to go out and enjoy yourselves. I have seen some idiots all gather together. I mean, they still don't get it, but freedom, I suppose. They were going to act a bit of a loony out there for the first couple of weeks. I reckon people will act a loony, but just be careful, because you don't want to be put back in lockdown again. That's all I will say to you, because you don't want the government to come out and say whether you think it's a conspiracy or not, right? The government comes out and says, well, there's a spike in case you have to go back in lockdown. You'll be all kicking yourselves, right? So if you're out drinking, just fucking social distance. You can still talk to people, for God's sake, but just you don't need to be in crowds acting the lunatic. Just enjoy your drinks and bloody go home. Jesus Christ. Right. Good night. Talk to you over the weekend.
Good night, everybody.
During the week, and I want to thank Queen Charlotte Daniel's co-host. And Daniel, thank you for lending me your co-host, because you made it very clear that you lent me your co-host for the night.
This is punishment because of what he said on the stream at the beginning, Daniel. I told you I'd get you back. This is me getting you back.
No, what happened there? Ooh. Okay, well, there you go. There you go. I might have to rob your co-host. What? Do what other streamers and YouTubers are do out there, rob other people's co-hosts. Maybe I should rob your co-host. I'm only messing. I wouldn't do that. Charlotte will always be your co-host. Yeah, we will see you on Saturday, actually, Charlotte, for Classic Q. And
have we settled on a story for that? Well, I'm on, and I can ask.
Oh, Jesus, I haven't. Oh, right. See, if I don't do Trial of a Time Lord, I'll be accused of, But I'm not doing. Listen, this is the way I'm gonna do it, right? If we do Trial of a Time Lord, this is how it's gone. We're doing a certain amount of episodes, right? And then we're going to leave it until the next time we get around to them again and finish it off. Because after Colin Baker, it's Sylvester McCoy next, and I'm doing Sylvester McCoy next weekend. So we will do what people wanted to do, which I don't understand why you picked that, but there you go. That's what was chosen. So we will do Trial. See, I can't even say it properly. Trial of a Time Lord, and we'll decide when we go live how many we're willing to actually do. But as I said, we're not revisiting Colin Baker next week. We're Sylvester McCoy. So this is why I'll say from now on, after Sylvester McCoy now, when we go back around to do the stories again, I have to insist that we don't do too many long stories this time round. We've done way too many. I've counted. We've done about 7 this month in the rotation, and it's too many. The people like the shorter stories as well. So we're going to have to insist that they're 4 or 6 parters. When we obviously that's going to be difficult with Hartnell sometimes, and it's going to be difficult with Troughton, but we'll work our way around them. But the rest of the doctors, it won't be too hard, So yeah, because it's listen, 7, 8, 9 episodes, 12 episodes, whatever. 10. How many is Trial of a Time Lord?
Oh, I don't know, but at least I know that then I'll watch a good chunk and then see what we do.
Yeah. My advice is just watch half.
Okay, I'll aim for half.
Right, aim for half. Right. Do the first part of Trial of a Time Lord. How many? Listen, right. I have part 1 on the DVD. I think it says part 1. Right. So how many episodes?
I'm gonna have to leave. Sorry.
Right, Charlotte is gone. Right. So good night, Charlie. You go ahead. So it's Trial of a Time Lord anyway, and I'll see you the weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. See you, everybody.
See you. Bye. Right. Look, as I said, when we get to it's definitely Trial of a Time Lord, right? So what we'll do is when we get the panel on, we'll decide how many we're going to do. I think that's the only do you know what might cheer me up, Noel, if you watch The Flight Attendant? Well, I've already promised Cheryl that I will watch it, and then I was thinking of actually doing reviews. So I'll tell you what then, I'll make you a deal. I will watch The Flight Attendant with Cheryl and I'll do reviews, but you've got to promise me that you will at least go and talk to a doctor or someone. Okay? I think that's a fair deal, to be honest. I want Marty and you, Noel. I want you guys. Will you cover the finale rumor? What the finale rumor? If the finale rumor is on Reddit, I'm not going to read it because it's more than likely fake. just like all the other fake rumors that YouTuber put out. So if it's on Reddit, of no interest. And if it's covered by any of the YouTubers on the other side, I'm not interested. If it's on a different forum, I will look at it, I'll read it out, and I'll give my opinion on it. But if it's from that god-awful forum, then no. I can start a rumor for you to cover, says Leland. No. See, that's the one thing. Listen, I get accused of that, right? But this is what annoyed me. This is why I got so angry, and this is why I've reacted. Now, people can say it's hilariously ironic or whatever because they think, and they've got it in their heads, that I don't receive source information. They can think whatever they want to think. But the one thing that I don't like is a liar and someone that makes up fake stuff. So this is why I came out the way I came out, and I said that this was vile and disgusting, because it is. First time, okay, it's a joke, right? First one was on April Fool's Day. But then when you keep that up after April Fool's Day, well, then you're being vindictive, right? You're deliberately doing it because you're seeing, as I said, these people seeing how these videos were doing on their channels, and they kept it up. Simple as that. So it's vindictive. Right. Yeah. So I'm going to leave it there. As I said, we will do all of those. We will be back on the Irish Geek, as I said, tomorrow. And then we'll be getting into all of those things that we promised you, like the reviews. Cheryl should be back and everything will be going. And then, as I said, I will watch The Flight Attendant, so and give it a go. I keep seeing trailers to it anyway, and to be honest, the more trailers I see, the more fascinating it actually looks. So I'll give it a go. The Batings will be returning for a two-parter where they will eat the TARDIS and even try to eat Jodie, says 10289. I love it. I love it. It wouldn't happen though, because they wouldn't allow. Well, would it be really camp? No, it wouldn't be. They wouldn't be cannibals because they actually eat metal. Anyway, interesting one. Right, we'll leave it at that one. So I'll talk to you all soon. Have a good one and stay safe. Look after yourselves, and we will see you tomorrow. So thanks to me mods, thanks to Charlotte again, and everybody in the chat. You've been great, and we'll talk to you soon. I should actually do more streams with Charlotte, actually, like that, you know, and maybe bring on Daniel as well with her sometime on a Wednesday, and do stuff if we ever get stuff like this again on stupid articles. But that has to be the most stupidest thing that I've heard. And you know, it's food for thought. You know, it's like, you know, as it's been pointed out, imagine if this was a middle-aged white male that had said this. The other side and the media, they'd be all out trying to cancel this person and have them apologize, or they'd lose their career in the BBC, right? But you know, there's a hypocrisy out there, and it's plain for everybody to see. Right, we're off. Here's the channel trailer. Good night, folks. See you soon. Good night, all.